What's up, my dudes? In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do a very beginner-friendly protection spell. This is going to be using very little ingredients, and it's also going to be something that you can do on the fly, or if you're just like wanting to do a quick little spell real quick, this is something you can do for this. So to start, as always, we're going to have some sort of a dish. This is not only good for burning, but if you're going to be using water like I'm going to be using today, this is good for keeping it intact. Now for the actual water we're going to be using full moon rainwater. This is just pure rainwater that has fallen from the full moon. And then the next item we're going to be using is a candle. This is a very beginner friendly item. If you don't have a white candle, you can also substitute it for a specific color that you want for your intentions, but this is just for the overall base of the spell. For writing the petitions, because this is going to be a very beginner friendly spell, we're going to be using a Sharpie and just some brown napkins. Now, it doesn't really matter where you get the napkins. All that matters is that you have some to write your petition on. But something like this is just something that you can use repeatedly. Maybe you just go to a restaurant and you get a bunch of napkins, or you just have a bunch at home. Brown paper napkins are a good way to add a little bit of intention into your spell, and it's also something that you can just burn or you can leave out in water. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be writing a sigil on this. This is going to be for protection, and it's also going to be just something that if you're a beginner witch, it's something that you can know right off the bat, and it's something very easy to use. This is the protection symbol that I'm going to be using. Like I said, it's just something very simple. If you would like to, on the back side, you can write out your full affirmations, what you want to be specifically protected from or anything like that. But for the face side, all you need is some sort of rune or a sigil. Next, we're going to have the white candle. If you would like to, you can also add different sort of herbs or ingredients into this. But like I said, this is beginner friendly. This is maybe first month or first year that you're actually practicing spells. This is something that you can do. Placing it a little bit in just so it doesn't make too much of a mess. And then we're going to be using black pepper. Black pepper is something that's very good for protection and also just banishing negative energies. If you are someone that has any sort of cooking or any sort of just overall taste buds in general, pepper is going to be a very basic ingredient that you have. You can usually get this in a bulk form. This is ground pepper, but you can also use the peppercorn, or if you would like to, you can sift through the peppercorn and sort of have a mix of the ground and the whole pieces. But that will be more for a pouch. This is more just for the spell that I'm showing you. And as we're applying this, we're going to be doing it in an anti-clockwise motion. If you want to charge something, so add protection to this candle, you can do it clockwise. But if you want to remove anything or you want to purify any sort of intentions, then you go anti-clockwise. As you can see, I went around the entire candle twice and then more so in the middle. That's just how I prefer to do it, just so the candle doesn't get too overloaded. And it also makes it a bit more visually appealing to have the ingredients around the candle instead of just on top of it. Now, I would normally use something that's either black or white for this type of spell, because black is good for absorbing negativity and white is good for overall intentions and protection. But I'm going to be using a red lighter. This is simply because if you are someone that is specifically focusing on removing a certain thing from you, so you're doing something that's cleansing, you want to add a bit more strength into it. If you're just protecting yourself and maybe you just want to have a bit of passive energy, then that's fine. You can use a black or white one. But this is more offensive, and it's also trying to remove something from you. So I would suggest use either a red lighter, or if you have it, you can use a yellow or an orange. So these three colors, you can use any of these for strength or courage, but these are just what I'm going to be using for this spell. Also, like it's pretty obvious, you don't have to have a me-size lighter. You can just use whatever lighter you want, but this is something that I really use if it's for any sort of strength or anything that I'm really trying to enhance in my practice. I will use this kind of lighter for it. So now that the candle is burning, you can do a quick little enchant over this. This is just to confirm any of your intentions, or if you would like to target a specific thing to protect you from, you can also say that over the flame. Now, like I said in the beginning, we are also going to be using full moon rainwater. This is very good for protection or any sort of cleansing. You can use this as is, like I'm doing it right now, or you can add different herbs or black salt into this to add a bit more protection or cleansing to this. I'm simply going to add this into the dish just to amplify the effects of this. And like I said, because you have your napkin or paper or whatever, this is going to absorb the energies from the water into the paper, and then that will sort of amplify the effects of the candle. You can make a mess, it's absolutely fine, no one's going to judge you. Your spirits that you work with or your own personal energies probably won't care. If you, for some reason, want to have yours looking all pristine, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that because I know my energies and I know the appearance doesn't matter. But as you're doing this, make sure you don't fill it up too much because you don't want the water to go into the candle wax. That will not only create more of a fire hazard because the hot wax and the water will not mix and it will pop all over the place, but you also don't want to override the intentions that you have into the candle. The water is pretty much just a moat to sort of have a floating energy around you, and then the candle is more of the you-centered focus, and then the pillar of the actual candle is sort of representing you. Like I said, you can use different sigils or different protections on to the napkin or the paper, whichever you're using. And after this is done, I will fold the edges onto the little metal bit from the candle, and then I'll discard this entirely. If you're going to be using any sort of salt or any sort of chemicals or anything that it's not from nature, do not discard this out in nature. Do not bury it, do not put it in a stream, do not put it in nature at all. If it has salt or any sort of chemicals, put it in the trash. Maybe you can say some sort of blessing over it before you do so, but do not put this into nature. It'll disrupt nature. You don't want to do that, especially if you are a natural witch and you're working with natural materials. You don't want to fuck over the nature around you just for the nature that you're bringing inside. But yeah, that's the end of the spell. If you would like to know anything else about witchcraft or witchcraft related content, just subscribe to my channel. Also, if you would like to know anything else about witchcraft or witchcraft related things, then you can just leave it in the comments below and I'll make a video about that, explaining how to do it, and if it's a bit more of an explanation needed, then I will just create a full video about that. But that's the end of the video. Have a good day, night, life. Enjoy yourself. Be happy.